Here we go. First call, first property. You'd be open to signing off on it though?
Well,
Today I'm gonna teach you guys how I cold call and source off-market deals. If you guys stick around till the end, I'm gonna give something away for free. Once again, help retention a little bit. But for the longest time, I would say the first 10 deals that I bought were 80% of them were cold calling. And so that's how I got my start. That's how I've bought and sold deals. Probably my last deal that I bought from cold calling was an 8-unit apartment complex. Bought 2 duplexes last year off of cold calling, and then a bunch of single family as well. So with that being said, the process is pretty simple. It does not cost any money. I'm gonna show you guys the full system today. It's definitely an old school way of doing things. And here's the deal. We may get some appointments and we may come up bust and we may not even get a hold of anybody. So we'll see. That's the beauty of cold calling. And really, like, when it comes to cold calling, like, what we're looking for typically is we're looking for distressed properties. Look at this one. This is one that I've actually cold called on. Oh, you can't even see it. It's always a good sign. This is one that I've cold called on, got hit by the tornado here in Oklahoma last year. She ended up selling it to somebody else. I couldn't make the deal work. I didn't think it was worth more than what the land value was because it was just a really funky house. But that's what we're looking for. You know, some people go after pre-foreclosures. Some people go after properties that are tax liens. Some people go after divorce sales. I mean, there's a million different types of properties that you guys can hit, but what we're looking for is distressed sales. People that aren't emotionally attached, which is what we're gonna hit today. More vacant, dilapidated houses that aren't going anywhere, aren't getting any better. Or you can go after, you know, somebody that's going through divorce that needs to sell their property. Or you can go after pre-foreclosure, they need to sell their property. You know, there's a lot of people out there that think cold calling is a bad thing. It is what it is, you know, it's what makes the world go round. And for me, if I'm calling and I'm not soliciting, because I'm not offering somebody a product, I'm offering to buy something from them, you know, I don't see any harm or foul in it. It's either a yes or no question. If they say, no, I'm not interested, don't call me, no problem, I won't call them. But what we're looking for are the people that say, yes, I am interested in selling. So anyways, this process here, like I said, super simple. We're gonna head to go look at some properties. We're gonna find some vacant properties today. We're gonna write them down, and then I'm gonna call through them. But here's the thing when it comes to cold calling, and I've been getting a lot of questions from people, should I get into wholesaling? Technically, you could do this in wholesale properties. If I find something today, I'm probably gonna buy it, but the likelihood of me finding a deal today is pretty low. It's not something that you go and do one day and you make it happen. And so I really don't expect much success from this, but you know, we may have some conversations. That's my goal with this, so you guys can see how I have conversations with sellers, how I find the deals, what I look for when I'm looking for properties as we drive through some of these neighborhoods. And it's free, you know, and so the only cost that we have with doing this is our time. And that's mainly why I don't cold call anymore. But my team has been struggling to source off-market deals lately from cold calling. And so I thought no better time than to jump back in and make some calls. And hopefully you guys will learn a thing or two with this as well. If you're just starting out and you can't go buy real estate right now, then this is a great opportunity to go find deals, negotiate with the sellers, and then sell those deals to guys like me that are buying, you know, and you could do what's called a wholesale. Check with your state. Every state's got different regulations, and there's a good way to do it and there's a bad way to wholesale as well. But if you're doing it above board and you're doing it ethically, then I think wholesaling is a great way to get into the industry and make a little bit of cash so you guys can go buy some deals as well. With that being said, different types of software that people use when they cold call. The most common are going to be PropStream and Batch Leads. So those are the most common softwares that people will use. And all those are, you can hop on, let's say you're using PropStream, for example. And when you hop on, it's going to give you, you know, first you have to select what area you're interested in. You can narrow in what you're looking for. So are you looking for vacant properties? Are you looking for pre-foreclosures? Are you looking for bank-owned properties? Or are you looking for cash buyers? Somebody that bought a cash deal in the area, and maybe you need to sell a deal, you know? And so both those softwares are about $100 a piece per month. You could also use like PropWire is another company that I know of. And by the way, look forward, we got nobody in front of us. So I'm looking over quite a bit, but nobody drives this turnpike here. So just want to say that. But PropWire is a free software like PropStream or BatchLead, so you can look into that. But really, when you're looking at those softwares, the problem that I've always found, there are deals, there are motivated sellers, but you have to narrow in your list. So a lot of times people will have cold callers that narrow in their list and will call through thousands of people to find the few that are motivated, and then they take over and they negotiate with the seller at that point. For me, I'm going directly to the vacant properties because I know this property is vacant and there's a higher likelihood of them selling the property if I call them and offer them whatever, a price, etc. And I'm gonna show you guys, I'm gonna send you guys my script as well. That's something I'm giving away for free today. So if you guys stick around till the end, I'm gonna give away my script for free. It's my own script I came up with. There's a lot of great ones out there. But for me, I mean, obviously you guys can see that I just do business how I am. I am who I am, and it shows when I'm cold calling. So tell you guys about the 8-unit apartment complex I bought last year. I was calling around, I was looking for a little bit larger of a deal. I was calling commercial mainly and smaller multifamily, like 4 to 12 units. And it's a lot harder to find deals, I would say, than on the single family side because you have less motivation. I was calling guys that own these and they were cash flowing. So what's it make sense for them to sell the deal? There is still motivated sellers when it comes to the multifamily side or the commercial side. And so this guy in particular, I called him up, pitched him, said, hey, I want to make you an offer on this. And he said, look, I live out in California. I've got this. I've got developments right now going on. They're taking up majority of my time. That's the keynote. There's his motivation. He's got bigger deals going on. And so I hear a lot on the multifamily and commercial side, there's just no motivation. There's no way to get deals done. It's not like single family. It is, because even though the motivation may not be this person has to sell because they're going to foreclosure, it may be they're getting a divorce, which is another way that I bought a commercial property here recently, is they were getting a divorce and needed to sell. Or in this case, this is like a stepchild to this guy, this little 8-unit apartment complex. He lives in California. He's working on bigger developments, so his motivation is he just doesn't want to deal with it anymore. And so that's how we got that deal done. Ended up making him an offer. Took us a couple weeks to negotiate. Once again, a little bit harder to negotiate if you're not in front of the seller, but you can still get it done. And so we negotiated and then we closed it. And so that one paid off. That was a good little buy for us. Another deal that I bought last year was a 4-unit. It was 2 duplexes side by side. And this was a funny deal because I found it because these duplexes were on the way to my gym. And so every day I would drive past these duplexes, and one unit was all leased, and it was, for a while I noticed this. And so I looked into it, older lady that owned them. And so I called her religiously for over a year, never got a response. Called her, texted her, just, hey, Karen, driving by the duplex again. I knew it was her phone number because her voicemail was, hey, this is Karen or whatever, and so I'll just drop her a voicemail every couple weeks. Hey, Karen, it's Cameron, just checking back in. Notice the duplex looks vacant. I just want to make you an offer. Then I'd shoot her a text. Then I'd shoot her a voicemail. Did that for a year. She calls me back finally. And this is when it comes to working off-market leads, I think this applies to any sales in general. You have to think about motivation as being fluid, which doesn't make that much sense, but fluid in this sense, like it's up and down and up and down and up and down, kind of like waves, crashing. Somebody may be motivated today and not tomorrow. Somebody may be motivated this month and not next month. And so the same goes with working any type of sales lead. I tell my team this a lot. We get a lead in. They may have been looking on the weekend. They may have been looking at houses, just starting that search with their significant other, or maybe by themselves. Who knows? I try to be all-inclusive. But it's just starting that search. And they're motivated because it's the weekend, they don't have much going on. Well, if you wait till Monday to call them, all of a sudden, they're not motivated because they've got to take their kids to school, or they've got to do this or that, or whatever that looks like. And so motivation changes all the time. And so it's important that you just stay persistent and you stay on top of working the leads. That's the most important piece. If you know a property's vacant, then the most important thing you can do is continue reaching out until they tell you not to, then respectfully leave them alone, or until they reach back out to you. Because a lot of times, what I've found is if you have someone's number and you're reaching out and they're not responding, it's not because they're not interested. it's because they don't want to close that. They don't want to say no because they don't want to close that door. They also don't want to say yes because it's not the time. And so that's why it's important to stay on top of these leads, and why they will just ignore you for a long time is because they want to keep that door open for when the time is right for them. And that's also why you have to look at this over a long enough time horizon. And I get a lot of texts and calls from other guys that are like, hey, should I get my real estate license, or should I get into wholesaling? I mean, the question is, are you willing to put in the effort over a long enough time horizon to where you won't fail? Because if you're willing to put in the effort, you're going to learn along the way. You're going to get deals done, but it's going to take you 6 to 8 months in this industry to really get some traction. And so that's what I try and preface with, this is not a get in and start doing deals immediately. There are guys that do it. You have to be willing to put the work in over a long enough time horizon. So that's why I'm going to show you guys today my exact system. This is how I don't know how much money I've made just cold calling, but I would say close to, if not a little bit more than $1 million because of equity and, buying properties, etc. And so I hope some of y'all take this system and you guys run with it, because I promise if you guys do exactly this, you're going to get deals done. So anyways, back to Karen. Called. Finally, one day she calls me back. She's like, hey, I don't want to sell those duplexes. I inherited them, but I do have a property in Del City, which is a city close to me. I have a property in Del City that I'm open to an offer on. So I go out there, put it under contract, buy it. It was $60,000. So I bought that deal. And then I maintained the relationship. And I would call her up every once in a while. The deal went really smooth. I closed it on time. And so I call her up, hey, Karen, you ready to sell the duplexes? At this point, we have rapport built, which if you don't know what rapport is, it's like a relationship almost. You want to build rapport and trust with others. You just do that through being authentic, asking genuine questions and actually caring. If you do those 3 things, you will build rapport with pretty much anybody. So anyways, kept reaching out. She's like, no, I'm not interested in selling. I don't want to sell right now. Don't want to sell. And then kept reaching out. And then finally I'm like, Karen, look, because I realized over 3 years, she only had 1 unit leased out of the entire fourplex. And so I was like, look, Karen, I promise she didn't want to sell because she didn't want to pay capital gains, which is a huge, that's a big thing with these older sellers. She's like, I don't want a big chunk of cash because then I'm just going to spend it. And then what am I going to do? And so that's where knowing the objections and knowing what to say and knowing the situation comes in handy. So for me, I knew I could just offer her seller finance. That's a win for me because I can get a better interest rate than the bank. And that's a win for her because I can pay her for the next 20 years on this note, and she will have residual income coming in, and I get to deal with the headaches and the maintenance, etc. I said, look, Karen, just sit down with me, hear me out. Let's have a conversation about it. And if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. No harm or foul. And so we sat down, we went through the numbers. They seemed to make sense for her. She still wanted some time, continued working it, and then we closed the deal. And so we bought that like $20K down. I 1031 funds, so I moved funds from another deal, 1031 into that one. And then we fixed it up, and it brings in, I think, just under $4,000 a month right now, gross. So it's not net. Gross figures actually don't ever matter. You need to know what a deal is netting. So, net on that, I probably make $1,000 a month. So I'm happy about it. Make my investment, my $20,000 back in 20 months, in essence. So anyways, I have used PropStream. I have used Batch Leads. I've used these other softwares where you can go on there and you can pull vacant properties, but they're not going to be the most updated. The most updated are going to be you going out and you finding these deals in person. And I've just always liked vacant properties. They've just always worked well for me. For some people, that is pre-foreclosures. For others, that is out-of-state owners. You're just looking for some sort of motivation. But for me, that's vacant properties. So something else to keep in mind is saturation is high right now. And so we're going over here, we're going to look at some deals. This might be an 1.5 hour long video. I don't know how long this is going to be. I'm going to post the whole thing. We may separate it in. No, we won't separate it out. I never separate them out. We're going to go over here. We're going to call. And the people that we're calling probably have been called before. That is because there's a lot of saturation. And I'm in Oklahoma City, so you got to think, if you're in a larger market, there's probably going to be more saturation. Now, the good thing is I have a decent script that I trust. Once again, if we think about motivation, somebody may have called them 3 months ago and they weren't interested. Well, it's 3 months forward now, so maybe they are interested. Maybe something's happened. Maybe their mindset has changed, and that's why you've got to stay in front of these leads. If I call these leads today, I need to be willing to stay in front of them over the next 6 to 12 months if I get a hold of any of them to truly make a deal work. I'll show you guys here in a second. There's a cold call lead that I've been working in Choctaw for over a year, and I'm getting very close to sealing the deal. And it's a deal I'll probably make 60, 70 grand on if I get it closed. So I'm excited about that, but it's just been constant follow-up. And if I wouldn't have followed up over the last year, and I would have just had the initial contact, things changed on their end, somebody else is going to close that deal. And that's the worst feeling. You definitely don't want to go and do a bunch of work, make contact, and then you call them a year later, you forget to follow up, and they're like, yeah, sorry, we sold that deal to someone else. Even if they tell you they're not interested in selling right now. If they tell you they're not interested in selling right now, say, hey, no problem, can I follow up with you in 6 months or so? Most of the time they'll say, yeah, that's no problem. Maybe sometimes they'll say no, but most of the time they'll say, yeah, no problem. And then you follow up with them in 6 months or so, and then you go from there. Anyways, just little gems that you just learn over time. In the motivation, if you're in sales, or you plan to be in sales, or you plan to flip a few properties, and maybe instead of working with wholesalers, you want to go find your own deals and you plan on doing this, then you have to keep this forefront of mind, whether you're working PPC, Facebook leads, direct mail, any lead source, is that motivation is fluid. Just because you called them today and they said, I'm not interested, doesn't mean that you're going to call them 3 months from now and they're going to say the same thing. Because people's lives change, and they change quickly, they change drastically. And so you can't keep it in your head of like, oh, well, I found this vacant property, I called them, they said they're not interested, I'm just never going to call them again. I promise you they're going to sell that property at some point. It's just not going to be to you because you didn't follow up with them. And also, y'all, real quick, if you're reaching out to me on phone or text or DM, I'm trying to get back with everybody. I can't take calls right now. I've got a pretty hard set rule that I don't take inbound phone calls because I'm trying to pump out content and still maintain my current business. But if you reach out to me, DM, whatever it is, I do try my best to get back with everybody quickly. I do get back with everyone at some point, but I'm an open book, so you guys can ask me whatever, give me video ideas, etc. But we're finally pulling up to hopefully find some vacant properties here, and we're just gonna roll through these neighborhoods and see what we can find. So step number one is you have to find the properties. We're just gonna cruise and look for dilapidated houses, and I'll show you guys what those look like. We're looking for houses that don't have any trash cans, that have overgrown yards, which my properties right now would probably be looped into that, my vacant properties. Look at this, somebody hit the side of this house. Golly, that's wild. Somebody ran into that, it looks like. So anyways, overgrown yards or notices on the doors. Notices are always good. At first, when I first started looking at vacant properties a long time ago, maybe it's just because I'm not as smart as everybody else, but it took me a while to really figure out, what a vacant property looked like, but now I can spot it out like the back of my hand. So anyways, we're not seeing any yet. Sometimes it takes a little bit. I'm driving kind of a little bit nicer neighborhood here. I like to buy rough houses in rough areas because there's a lot more of them. So if I really wanted to have success today, we would have gone out to Shawnee, which is 30 minutes east of us. I'm just not thinking of that. Here we go. This is our first somewhat, this isn't screaming vacant to me, but it's worth writing down. We got a truck in the driveway that looks broken down. And then we've got windows that are really old. Looks like they're not boarded up, but looks like they've been closed in. So typically what I do, and there's different apps. There's an app called like Deal Machine or something, but once again, I'm real old school. I'm just gonna come into my Google Maps, I'm gonna pin it, and then I'm gonna screenshot it, and then we'll circle back to it here in a little bit. We'll put them all on a Google Excel sheet. This might be like a true masterclass today. I mean, we might be going an hour and a half on this video, but I'm gonna make sure that I take my time and I show you guys how to do this. And hopefully at least we can get some decent phone calls. I'm not even asking for an appointment, which is ideal. That's truly what we want here is an appointment. That's what we're going after. But even if I can just get some sellers on the phone so you guys can hear what that looks like, which I think we'll be able to, that would be pretty sweet. If not, we'll keep going. I'm persistent to a fault. Told you guys that before. And so I'm gonna make sure that we have some sort of success today. So obviously, if it's got a real estate sign in the yard, we don't want to call on it unless you know, it's a rough property, and then you can call the realtor, you know. But so this house here, you can see it's overgrown, but they've got dumpsters. Still looks like a fairly nice house, obviously not vacant. Dumpsters say that shows us that they've got sewer and water turned on. Dang, Logan, I picked too nice of a neighborhood here. We're gonna have to find a different neighborhood. Nothing's vacant in here. We're in Del City. That's where we'll head next. Okay, what's going on here? No, just really overgrown. Hey, truth be told, my personal yards looked like that a few times. When I've gotten a little too busy, actually looked like that recently. But we got stickers in our yard, and I didn't want to mow it and throw stickers everywhere. So once again, if you're gonna do this, I would do this just as you're hitting appointments, as you're driving through town. Just make it a habit to go drive through a neighborhood. You can do it for 10 minutes, maybe pull a couple properties a day. I know a lot of people are doing what's called driving for dollars. This is called driving for dollars, technically, is like the term that everybody uses. So if you ever hear that term, that's what we're doing right now. But I know some people have started doing it with Google Maps, which I think is actually a really good idea. Go down one more. Google Maps though, and you know, the photos aren't always the most updated, so you may pull something that is not super accurate. But what's going on here? You see this has trash cans. Almost looks like for a second maybe it was vacant. You see, here we go. This is a really rough property. You could call, I say really rough, but there's just, you know, there's trash in the front yard and just doesn't look like it's managed well. You may think that's vacant, but what you'll see a lot of times is you'll get like slumlords that own a lot of these same properties, and they just don't take care of their properties. And unfortunately, neither do their tenants. So here's a perfect example of a vacant property, but it's got a sign in the yard, actually listed by my brokerage. So that's not gonna work there. Looks like they're replacing a roof up here today. What's going on? Trash cans. Not truly vacant. You can still call those properties that look a little bit rougher. I'm just looking for vacant properties, and that's all I want to hit here are the properties that are 100% vacant. Because I mean, my pitch is, hey, are you open to an offer? You know, I mean, that's the pitch that I'm making the seller when I get them on the phone, or the owner. I'm not asking them, do they want to sell the property? Because that adds a lot of friction. And I think you're a lot more likely to get somebody to say, yes, I'm open to hearing an offer, than yes, I'm open to selling the property. That is the pitch that we're hitting these people with, and that is a part of the script. These properties look like they should be vacant. Some of them, they aren't. I think we're getting over it. I can do this all day. I love the hunt of finding an off-market deal. It's just not much like it, because you're truly making your money here with a phone book. But it's not easy. So let me just preface by saying that. More so, I should say, it's not hard. It just takes a lot of discipline and hard work of doing it consistently and following up. And the thing is, once you find a vacant property, you can call, you can text, you can email, you can pull them on Facebook Marketplace, you can send them a mailer. You know, you can hit them five different ways just there, because you know that property's vacant and it's not getting any better, which means that they should be a little bit more likely to want to sell it. Typically, I can drive through a neighborhood and find at least 3 pretty quickly. But this is, I would say, partially because the market's been pretty crazy over the last couple of years. You know, a lot of investors have bought up a lot of these dilapidated houses. But even though with saying that, there's still a ton out there in every market that need to be bought, need to be rehabbed, need to be brought back to life. Here we go. Pretty sure that's, once again, we're coming in Google Maps. We're gonna mark it right here. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do, because I don't want this video dragging on 2.5 hours. We're gonna find 5 or 10 more. I may record a little bit in between, but we'll catch you guys on what the second step of the process is once you've got your list of properties. So we got something here. This has trash cans. I'm gonna call on it anyways, because I don't see a car in the driveway or anything. The deal is, it may not be vacant, but since we're struggling today, we're gonna make some calls on these. I'm gonna make sure that we get a hold of some people to have some conversation. All right, check this out. A little bit of determination. If I had to guess, let's look real quick, because a lot of times on these burnouts, people pick them up pretty quick. They watch I don't know what they watch. They watch the scanners and stuff and watch for them. It's got a bunch of notices on the door. Obviously, it's wide open. We're about to get up in here in a second. But before we do, if you had PropStream, you could zoom in right where we were at. I'm using MLS because I've got access. So it says it was last sold in 1995 or 2009 here. which is a good sign. It could have sold recently and not updated yet, but let's take a look. I mean, honestly, not very interested in this type of deal. I don't really like burnouts, but I know guys that do. So there's opportunity, there's money to be made on it. Let's look at their notices. Violation, tall grass, violation, somebody's depositing remains here, or yeah, debris and trash collection. They had bags here, and then junk and debris. So, hello? 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 Oh, it was on the other side. Sounded like there's somebody in there. So anyways, we're gonna mark this address down. Obviously, I would say somewhat of a motivated seller. He may have collected the insurance proceeds and is just sitting on it, but I would say the motivation is he's getting a bunch of fines from the city. Once again, I'm not interested in this. It's not really the type of deal that I like to buy, but I know guys that are building new construction. I know guys that can do burnouts, and so I'm not gonna let an opportunity go missed here. Let's keep looking. All right, so we got another one here. This is, we've marked a few down actually, but obviously, you know, there's trash cans here, but it's boarded up, and I'm just now realizing this one next door is also boarded up. So I would hope that no one's living in either of these. So we're gonna mark them both down. You know, ideally, you do this every day. You call an hour a day, and the deals come within 3 to 6 to 8 months, you know, because a lot of these deals, they aren't gonna pop immediately. You have no rapport built. People don't like getting called anymore. So, you know, you've got that you're fighting against. We're seeing a lot of overgrown yards, but yeah, that one's still lived in. Depending on your market, this might be really tough. You know, what you guys could do is you could just drive for dollars virtually in Oklahoma City. I've actually walked this deal here. Out of respect for my buddy, I know he's working that deal. I'm not gonna mark it down, but I would mark that deal down normally. So anyways, what you could do is if your market is $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 houses, and for some reason that's vacant, that's got to be vacant. Let's back it up a bit. I mean, there's nothing on the door there, but you could drive for dollars virtually. Now this is going to be a little bit harder because you can't be in person to meet the seller, but you could lock the deal up and then sell it to me because I'm buying deals. Or you could bring it to me and I'm going to be able to sell it even if I wasn't a buyer for it, because I know most of the buyers here in Oklahoma City. So if it's a deal, it's going to be able to be sold. So sometimes you've just got to look at opportunity that way. Surprisingly, that one's not vacant, but you've got to get creative with opportunity. Damn, that's got trash cans. I'm like pretty amazed if there is people living in some of these. We're gonna mark it down anyways because it looks like it hasn't been mowed in a year. But once again, you know, you guys could come out here in a market like Oklahoma City, drive for dollars virtually. You could use PropStream, you could use batch leads, pull down vacant properties or sellers that are motivated or distressed to sell and bring the deals to me that way. Something else that I do a lot that I think is slept on is I watch MLS. You know, a lot of investors think as soon as a deal hits MLS, it's not a deal anymore, which I just know is not true because I've bought plenty of deals and made money off of MLS deals. You just have to watch them. 90% of the deals you look at won't be, but it's low-hanging fruit. You know, you don't got to come out and do all this. You just got to make an offer. And so I check MLS almost daily for deals that hit. And then sometimes people will list too high and then, you know, they need to sell. And I will get deals that way because they'll get 60, 70 days in and I'll hit them with a low offer where I think that the price should be. And I'll lock the deal up that way. So anywho, this neighborhood's been pretty good for addresses. I think we've gotten like 6 or 7 here already in the last like 10 minutes or so. Do it daily, you know, write down the addresses, call these consistently. If you know that you've got a number that is active, stay on top of them, because if they're not telling you no, that means that they are not interested, because they're just not responding. It just means that it may not be the right time. Anyways, we're gonna keep writing these down. Catch you guys here in a few. So Logan got a little hungry. I'm just kidding, we both got hungry. Stopped off here. I just barely saw this on the, as we're coming down the road. We're gonna go find a few more vacants and then call through, but look at this, $10, $3.50 for a burger. I guess we're missing out because she said they're all over TikTok and stuff. But anyways, if you're in Oklahoma City, I don't know if I should say this yet because we don't know if it's good, but if you're in Oklahoma City, this place, Just Burgers, is pretty cheap. So let's go over here and sit down real quick. So, you know, we kind of talked about when we're sourcing these deals, we're looking for the motivated sellers. And I'll just kind of walk you guys through the process. We find the deals, whatever that looks like, vacant properties, or whether that be pre-foreclosure, distressed motivated sellers. Then we're gonna call them, we're gonna reach out to them, call them, text them, email, reach out on Facebook even, and we're just trying to get a hold of them to set an appointment to get in person. From there, that's gonna be a totally different video because I could do a 3-hour video on just how to negotiate an off-market deal with a seller. There's an art to it, I would say. But the biggest piece is setting the appointment so you can get out there and actually look at the property and see if it's gonna match the numbers or not. So once again, this is a long video, but we're gonna get a hold of some sellers tonight. We're gonna have some conversations. Can't promise that we're gonna have anything good come out of it, but that's just the beauty of finding and sourcing off-market deals. You know, but if you do this process over 6 to 8 months, you're gonna get deals out of it. And what happens is it's the compound effect. So at first you're gonna have nothing, and then as your leads compound up, it goes like this. And you go from having no deals every month to having a deal, and then 2, and then so on and so forth. So we're gonna eat these burgers, find a few more properties. We'll catch you guys back at the office and call some deals. All right, let's crank. So we're back at the office. Don't mind the office, by the way. I'm still building this out. This is an extra room that I've got in my house. So we really only need a few things here. We've got PropStream opened up, which I told you guys about, which I've got an affiliate link to. I don't even know if I'm gonna plug it because here's the deal. If you don't have the funds for PropStream, you can use PropWire. I think PropWire is free. Yeah, you can see here's PropWire. I don't know if it's as good, but it's very similar to PropStream. You can do pretty much everything I'm about to show y'all on PropStream. And then there's also batch leads as well. And there's a few others, but I've always used PropStream, so it's just comfortable for me. Then we've got True People Search. This website here, free to use. You can pull anybody in the nation pretty much. It's not always accurate, so that's what happens when you use free software. For y'all, I'm going to use free software because I don't know if you guys have the funds to be able to, you know, invest in something like Versium, which is what I typically use as Versium. You know, you can skip trace for about 3 cents per skip trace on Versium. This is what I use whenever I'm pulling big batches down. But True People Search gets the job done. You could also look at White Pages, whitepages.com. I'm not sponsored by any of these skip tracing websites here, but White Pages is pretty good software. It's like $10 a month or $30 a month or something like that. Lastly, you can skip trace on PropStream, but it's like 12 cents a skip trace, and I wouldn't recommend it. I used to do it back in the day, but I think that there's better options out there. So, you know, I could probably do like a whole video on this. There's plenty of videos out there. This is where you can filter down and you can pull, you know, tired landlords, tax delinquency, liens, high equity, divorce, failed listings, flippers if you're looking for cash buyers, etc., etc. But we've got our properties here. Like I said, when it comes to cold calling, it's kind of like a flip of a coin. But I've marked them in Google Maps. I've written them down. We're going to call them up and see what we can do. So ideally, we call them today, and then we call them tomorrow, and then we call them the next day, and then we keep calling until either they tell us not to call or that we know that it's not a valid number. Now, if you call them like 2 or 3 times in a week, I would hold off for a couple weeks. You know, it's not that you have to call them every single day. It's just the fact that if you know you've got a valid number, you probably want to call, you know, every couple weeks to stay in front of them. So first property here, 4101 Southeast 14th Street. So we can type in our address here, 4101 Southeast 14th Street, and then this one's Del City. It's not wanting to pull. Southeast. It's not wanting to pull. We could pull it from map view, but in this case, I'm gonna pull it up on Google Maps. I don't know why it's not wanting to pull, but that's okay. 4101 14th Street. This is off of, let's see, Sunny Lane and 15, right here in the city. So we're just gonna match that up. Sunny Lane and 15, Dollar General right here. Here's our address. So we can click on details so you can see here, David Alice Life Estate, which shows me that the owner likely has passed away. Might be able to hear my little brother in the video. I've got guardianship of him. So He's getting a little crazy right now, but we'll let him do his thing. If you guys hear it, that's what it is. So I'm just gonna look at a little bit of info here. You can see last recording, last time it sold was 2010. Let's go ahead and try and pull Steve Allen, Davenport, which is, you can see the mailing address matches up, which means that likely he has passed away. But we're gonna try and pull this real quick. I'm just gonna pull Del City, a Ball Allen here. And sometimes you gotta do some looking around. So we're gonna do some looking around here. Says he lives at that address. So I don't think that matches up. Let's just try and pull, and I'll tell you guys, sometimes if you don't have these, it'll give you last, middle, first. So then you gotta put the last at the end. And then we're just gonna look all of Oklahoma City. So let's try and pull Steve. Okay, so it pulls him up here. Says he lives somewhere else in Oklahoma City. So when somebody passes away, typically a little bit of a sore spot. And a lot of times whenever I call on off of True People Search, it's gonna give you an invalid number. So it's a lot of just trial and error, trial and error. I'm trying to give him a call. As I'm calling him, I'll pull this up on Google search. This up here.
Hello.
Hey, Steve?
No, this is daughter Stephanie.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Hey, this is Cameron Burke. I was hollering at you guys. I live over here in Choctaw, but I was in the city earlier. I saw this property you guys had off of Southeast 14th Street.
Oh, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Hey, I just want to see if I could make you guys an offer on that.
My dad's actually in the hospital right now.
Oh, okay.
He had gallbladder surgery yesterday morning.
Okay.
And he's paralyzed from the waist down.
Golly.
A whole lot.
Yeah.
It's that house, my grandparents.
Okay.
And it's in like a weird trust. My grandma was not in her right mind, and she was a kind of, sorry to say that word. But
no, that's okay.
Anyway,
that's okay.
She was, and she made it so my uncle could live there until the house either goes to him or my dad, depending on who passes away first.
Okay, that's interesting. So is
Isn't it?
Yeah. So is he living there currently?
He is.
Okay. And is that rent free, I'm assuming? He's not paying anything? Golly.
Yeah.
That sucks for y'all.
It's a shit situation.
Yeah.
Because my dad has heirs, and my uncle that lives there, he's an alcoholic and has no wife, no children.
Okay.
So if my dad passes first, my uncle will have the house, and I don't know what he's doing with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, just getting a little creative with it, maybe we could come up with a price that we could pay you guys, and then maybe we can come up with a price that we could pay the uncle and still buy it that way if he'd be willing to sign over the ownership.
Yeah, I mean, a headache.
Yeah.
And it's not even about the house. It's an emotional and sentimental thing that happened. My grandpa and I were super, super tight.
Okay.
We were each other's person, and he passed away first, and she didn't follow his wishes.
I'm sorry to hear that.
You know, well, you know how it is.
Yeah, for sure.
It happens pretty much anytime someone passes away.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I hear about it. Yeah, it just gets messy.
I know, you've heard it a million times.
It sucks that it's the same thing every time, but it typically is.
Right.
I mean, it follows the same pretty much every time.
I mean, it should have just gone straight into my dad's name as the eldest.
Yeah.
He and I were the ones that took care of my grandparents.
Okay. And you guys got the short end of the stick, it sounds. Oh, we dropped off. I'm actually really surprised that we got a hold of someone. First call, first property. It does not go that way. I don't want to make this seem like this is common. Can you hear me, Stephanie?
Yes.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
Oh, no, it's okay. I'm not used to his landline anyway.
Oh, okay. Well,
so I haven't been. I'm trying to get used to his phone.
Well, if y'all are open to exploring it, I've done crazier deals. It sounds like it would be a win if you guys could get it off your back anyways. So
yeah, it would, because my dad, like, every single year, like, come tax time, my dad, he has to decide whether he's gonna pay or just say fuck it.
Yeah, let it go to tax sale. Well, and honestly,
and,
like that.
And you know, what a waste.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where he gets. And it happened just recently, and we were going through a whole thing where he was having trouble getting to his money.
Mm-hmm.
My dad has money invested. He's able to do that. It's just not, it just gets to the point where it's like,
Yeah.
he's just tired of dealing with it.
Well, it's a waste of money, too, to have to pay the taxes on it every year. I mean, really, I'm surprised the uncle's not.
But the whole thing is, like, do we just let it go? I mean, that's a lot of money to just let go for $30,000 in taxes.
There's a way to solve this.
That's where,
Yeah. Well, let's do this. I know he's in the hospital right now. It's probably the last thing on his mind. Can I just check in with you next week after, until he kind of gets a little bit better? And then, because I've solved crazier deals before, so if you guys are willing to work with me and let us kind of solve this, I mean, I'll have to do some negotiating for sure with the uncle, but I think that we've got some leverage, especially given that, if he stops paying, then it's going to go to tax sale. So I think there's a way to solve this. I think there is, and then make you guys some money.
I think it would be good to have a third party involved.
Yeah, unbiased, and then
because my dad, like, they don't speak. He doesn't have. My dad can't get a hold of them.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have a phone number that my dad knows.
Well, he lives there at least, though, so I could probably just knock the door and get a hold of him that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably. I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, honestly, my grandparents passed probably, and I have no idea how he is still there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been like 7 years. I have no.
Well, and let me ask this as well. So, okay, so it's in, when I look on the owner info, it has the estate, and then it has Steve's your dad, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then it's got the estate. And then, so was the uncle guardianship of the estate?
I think so.
Okay. So.
Yeah, it's a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. Just a dirty attorney.
Yeah. Well, I've dealt with crazier things, so I will circle back. What day or time's good to call you next week?
Good. I mean, he's better to get with and talk in the evening. So like like after 4 o'clock.
Okay, perfect.
I mean, and I don't know of any day. I mean, I don't even know when he's getting out of the hospital.
Yeah.
But I don't imagine he'll be there too long.
Okay. Well, let's just play it by ear. I'll call you either Monday or Tuesday evening, and then if not, I'll circle back again, But what I'll do, Stephanie, is I'm going to shoot you a text with my full name, and then I'm just going to put investor. If you'll save me, I'll circle back next week, and we're going to figure out how we get this done.
Okay.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
And if he does get out earlier, feel free to call me. I'm available. This is pretty much all I do, so give me a call. But if not, I'll give you a call Monday or Tuesday.
Try to get a hold of us next week.
Perfect.
For sure. I mean, my dad will be up today.
For sure. Okay, yes, ma'am. Well, I appreciate you taking my call.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, have a good night. See you, Stephanie.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Don't be fooled. It does not go like that very often. And it definitely doesn't on the first call. My agents are going to see this. They're going to see this video, and they're going to be pissy. Not actually, but they know better than to think that the first call goes like that. So anyways, I'm going to hop in my calendar. I'm going to set for next week. Just a quick reminder to myself. Ideally, you've got a CRM, and you put this in a CRM. But for me, I'm kind of in a weird spot because I don't do this anymore. So I'm not going to put it in a CRM. And what I'll do at some point is, what I'll do at some point is pass this off to some of my agents. So anyways, Stephanie was her name. And then I just do real simple, throw the address, label it green. And then I'm going to save her info, and then I'm going to shoot her a follow-up text because we really need her to save the number. I don't want somebody else calling and her thinking that it's me, which I just realized that she said this was a landline, so I don't think it's going to go through. So to correct myself there, I probably should have gotten her personal cell, but it seems like she's pretty available. Okay, first deal in the pipe. So that is what I would consider a lead. So that goes in the CRM. And you guys can see how this would compound up. We've got to solve that problem. This is a pretty complex one that if you haven't seen the situation or kind of don't know how to go about it, then it would be hard to solve that. But either way, I guess that's what these videos are for. So let's throw in 3112 Beechwood Drive. Doesn't want to pull it up. Would drive. Like I said, I use primarily MLS to do this stuff, but I'm pulling it on PropStream because I want to do it on the same software you guys would be. 3112, Deval properties. So this is what we're looking out for. A lot of times investors will pick these up. Well, in this case, I guess this investor's owned this since 2007. So I'm going to pull it. I'm going to pull this on Google search again, and because he may just have a tenant that hasn't mowed his grass. If that's the case, I think it just went vacant. So in the past, I would have called this. If you're newer, I would call this anyways because it's good experience. But typically what you need to do is LLC lookup and then state name. So in this case, Oklahoma. So you can come in here. This is Oklahoma Secretary of State. And then you plug in. Most states are going to have some sort of LLC lookup. So then you can plug in the Deval properties from here, and this will pull up whoever the registered agent is. Be careful because a registered agent does not mean that that is, I'm gonna open this up. Let's get some natural light in here. A registered agent doesn't mean that that's the owner of the LLC. That just means that's who registered the LLC. So you may still call and you may get like a CPA or something. So just keep that in mind. It may not be the owner. Oh, that's way better. So it may not be the owner that you actually call. So anyways, on to the next. I'll call that usually, but in this case, we're just gonna let it go. 3012 Parker Drive. Oh, this was the burnout. And you know, you're gonna get cussed out. I don't get cussed out very often, but you're gonna get people that are rude. It just kind of is what it is. You know, you don't have to be, so bub. Hey, we're recording a video. We'll be out here in a little bit, okay? Shut that door. Okay, so off of Bryant and 59th. Oh, APN search. So coming in here. We're gonna zoom in 59th, 3012 Parker Drive, 3012 Parker Drive. So they just had a lien placed in May. You can see city lien, Aneem, Albert, or Zaka, Albert, Aneem. So let's hop back. I think that's it. It's in Cali now. But yeah, this is his old, it says that he used to live here. So a lot of times, like if it pulls a different, you see over here, it says his mailing address is 6 Northeast 6th Street, but on True People search, it says that it is in Anaheim, California. But if you scroll down, we can see 3012 Parker Drive. So we know that this is the right address. So anyways, we're gonna call him up. Old Cali boy. Zaka. It's a sick name.
Thank you for calling Choice by Zaka, located at 1882 North Western.
Don't want you guys hearing that. I don't want to give out anybody's personal details, but not intentionally. This is a good lead to follow up with. Or sometimes I'll shoot like a voice message. I've done pretty good with these voice memos, so I'll just go like this. Hey Zaka, this is Cameron Burke, just giving you a holler. I live over here in Oklahoma City. Drove past your property today on Parker Drive. I saw that it is in pretty rough shape. It's burnt out currently, and you've got, I don't know if you know this or not, but you get notices from the city. So anyways, I just wanted to holler and see if you'd be open to an offer on that. I'm a legit buyer here in the city. If so, give me a holler or give me a call or shoot me a text. Thank you. Well, he knows it's a real person, in state, hopefully legit. And I've had pretty good success with voice memos, so we'll see what he says. All right, on to the next. But this is what it is. And then ideally, we get them on the phone, and you know, if you can set an appointment, if they're like, yeah, you know, my script is, hey, I don't even say, hey, is this so-and-so. I hear a lot of scripts that go like that. I'm just, hey, and then name. So like, hey, Mary. And then I say it with a tone that asks a question. So like, hey, Mary. And they'll go, yeah. Like, hey, Mary, it's Cameron Burke. Was hollering at you. I live over here in Oklahoma City. I always say that. I live here in, now if you don't, then that's a downside, you know, that you don't have. It creates a correlation. They either own a property where it is, where we live here in Oklahoma City or surrounding areas, or they used to live here. And so it's just a subtle amount of rapport, just enough for them not to hang up on you. And now they're wondering, okay, why is Cameron Burke in Oklahoma City calling me? And who is it? And then I'll get into, hey, you know, I was calling about your property over here. We've had, I mean, hey, I'll consider that one call a success, even if we didn't get a hold of anybody else. So let's see, 3004 Southeast 57th Street, OKC. I'm going to call a few more, and then we're going to jump because I've got to go eat dinner. But I will do more of these videos if we get a good amount of engagement. If people like this, I can do more of these. I don't mind cold calling. I like cold calling personally, and I don't get to do it very often anymore. So it's pretty cool to be able to do this, and it makes sense now because my leverage is I get to share with you guys. So this deal here says that they live here. You know, I was iffy on this property when I wrote it down. You just couldn't see the front door because it was so overgrown. So we're gonna move on. Next one here. And sometimes when you write them down, they don't end up being properties that are worth calling on. But at the end of the day, most deals are worth calling. Okay, so this one was right up the street. This one was also a little iffy because it looked like, looked like an investor owned it. Yeah, Carchi Properties Corporation. This would be worth calling on. I saw a lockbox on the door. It was 100% vacant, but it looked like they were about to do a make ready on it. This could be considered a tired landlord. So let's just call them over here. We're gonna look the LLC up. In here, used to live in Tampa. Hey, all my Florida people, I'm coming to Florida to catch a tarpon here soon. Very soon I'm gonna catch a tarpon. Be a little bit quicker with the investors. That's what you'll get a lot of that. So you gotta be ready. Okay, so then we go 336 Parker. We found quite a few. Sure, another investor. Sometimes you'll find these neighborhoods where it's like predominantly investors. Same guy owns this property as well, but different LLC. So definitely a little bit savvier. Okay, my wife's gonna get mad. She just finished up dinner. All right, y'all, fast forward a week. We're gonna give a follow-up call here to Stephanie, see if we can get a hold of her. Obviously, you guys are still watching the video, but on the call that I took last week, let's see how it goes. See if we can get a hold of her.
Hello?
Hey, how are you doing, sir? This is Cameron.
Who?
This is Cameron. I think I talked to your daughter, Stephanie, last week about the property you guys have over there on 14th. I don't know if she told you about me or not.
I'm sorry. Is this about real estate?
Yes, sir. This is about the property off of 14th Street. I talked to Stephanie. Are you Stephanie's dad?
Well, huh?
Are you Stephanie's
yeah, I am,
dad?
but she has no connection with that property, and to be honest with you, I don't really.
Well, I've kind of got a plan. She filled me in last week, and she said that you weren't doing.
Well,
it wasn't the right week.
She doesn't smell except my home is in northwest Oakland.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you talked to somebody. You talked to somebody about the house in Del City, and now they're calling me. Huh? No shit, you don't remember?
We got a little family beef going on.
Cameron, your name?
Yeah, yes, sir. Cameron Burke.
Cameron, I'm not interested, and I don't have title to that home.
Well, can I just kind of tell you my plan from a little bit that I know, and no harm, no foul either way?
No, Cameron, you can. Let me explain to you quickly.
Okay.
Someone has to die for that home.
Well, I've got a plan with that. Can you hear me? Can you give me 2 minutes? Hear me out on this real quick.
I don't know if you can do anything. I mean, you're not dealing with the owner. I'm not the owner.
Well, so, okay.
And I can't with my brother, because I've tried.
Here's my...
It was from my mother and father's will. So that's who you need to talk to.
Well, but I do think that I'll need your permission as well, and so here's kind of my plan of action from here. I want to...
have you talked to him?
Well, you're the one on deed. You're the one on the deed.
I'm on the deed as a remainder man.
Mm-hmm.
That means I don't have any kind of possession or anything to do with that home. My brother that lives there.
Let me ask. Yep, I can still hear you. Let me ask you this: if I'm able to talk to him and he's open to selling it to me, are you open to selling it or signing off?
Yeah.
Okay. Then that would be.
What about him?
You'd be open to signing off on it though, if I can get him open to selling it.
Well, it's money for me.
Hell yeah. Okay, then that's my plan of action. Here's what I'll do, Steve. I'm gonna go by there next week.
Where are you located?
Well, I personally live in Choctaw, so I only live about 20 minutes from Midwest City. I'm not very far at all.
Okay, well, I was pretty much right with it.
Okay, nice, yeah.
I was born in Kingston.
Yeah.
So let's hear what you got to say real quick.
Well, if you were open to signing off on it and selling it, I'm gonna go by there. I mean, he lives there as far as I know. I saw and the whole reason I gave you guys a call is I was in the neighborhood and saw that, I mean, it obviously looks a little run down, you know, and so it didn't look like it was being taken care of. Couldn't tell if it was vacant or not because there was a truck in the driveway, but I'm assuming that's his. And so what I'll do from here is...
you got more information on him than I have. I've tried to contact him recently, and the phone number's been disconnected.
Well, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to door knock it and see if I can talk to him. And
Yeah, well, don't mention anything about me unless you have. Just
I won't. No, I haven't talked to him.
You can tell him you want to contact me.
Yeah, I'll tell him. Yeah, I'll tell him that if he's open to selling, then I'll see if I can get a hold of you and see if you're open to it as well. But
That's fine.
I just didn't want to put time in the deal unless you were open to selling it as well. So if you're open to it, let me do some.
I mean, I'm disabled. All I can do is sit here and wait for him to die.
Yes, sir.
If I want possession or dime off of it, but I guess that both of us, if we both sign off on it, we could do that.
Okay, good deal. All right, well, I'm going to run by there next week, Steve. If you can, save my number so that way you know who's calling. And
You just have to. I'll remember if you call.
Okay.
I have phone difficulty.
Okay.
If you don't reach me, call back.
Okay, yes, sir.
The
And,
voicemail doesn't work.
okay, and just a reminder, my name's...
I can't. You call this time of the day, you're probably going to reach me. I'm not out ever.
Okay, good deal. Well, like I said, my name's Cameron Burke. I'm local here, and so I'll run by there next week, talk to him. If he's open to it, then we'll see what we can put together. If not, then it is what it is, but it's worth a shot.
Good luck.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Have a good night.
Sure thing. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. All right, y'all. This is real estate right here. So I wish I would have had some time to call some more deals last week, because when it comes to cold calling, you're going to have different situations, different motivations. This is a really unique situation. It would probably be hard to work if you didn't really know what the plan of action would be. I think a lot of people would have just given up and said, it is what it is. But you see, he didn't want to talk to me. I got him to open up a little bit, and I'm not following a script or anything. It's asking the right questions and seeing if you can help people out. And so once again, situation here, mom passed away. I mean, it's been a week, so you guys probably know better than me. You just watched the video, but mom passed away. Let me back up. This is also why you should have a CRM if you are cold calling, because you need to be taking notes. This is just kind of for information for you guys and education. But the mom passed away, and she put in the will that the uncle, Mitch, can live there until he dies. And so with that being said, he's got to be willing to sell the property, but so does Mr. Steve here, because he's on the deed as well. So anyways, we're kind of piecing it together, seeing what works. And so the next plan of action from here is to door knock him. I will do that, and we'll probably record, I don't know if it's gonna be hard to record that, but we'll record a follow-up video here, see if we get anywhere. And if we get, if we get a lot of views and people like this type of content, I'll do more of this. I like cold calling. I like getting a hold of sellers, and it's fun to me. But you guys can see that every situation's a little different, and you've just got to be persistent. You got to stay on top of them. We got lucky with getting a hold of this seller here last week. But, you can see that guy went from being real pissy to opening up pretty quick to me to, okay, yeah, I'd be open to selling it. And so, anyways, not sure if anything will come out of this one, but you can see if you did this daily, it compounds, like the compound effect, and it'd be very linear, and then boom, you'd be taking off like that. And over 5, 10, 15, 20 leads, and then they just stack up and you get more leads, and they start popping at different times. Hopefully that gives you guys an idea of what it looks like to cold call. I mean, this is just barely breaking the surface of what it entails. I mean, there's a ton more that goes into it. Finding the property is number one. Then you have to call. If you do get a hold of them, you either have to set an appointment, or if you can't set an appointment, you have to close them on the phone, which is a process in itself. But hopefully at this point you guys have seen it's not as hard as people make it out to seem. I mean, you guys saw the first call that we had with that lady. She was nice. It was a good call. Probably every investor before that hasn't been able to, they'll just put the phone down and say, okay, there's nothing we can do here, But I'm always under the impression of, I'm going to work it until it's dead. I'm going to work the deal until it's dead. And there's always a way. If the uncle, maybe in that certain situation, the uncle, we just need to get him to agree to $15,000, to pay him a certain amount to release that trust. So I'll work that. I'll keep you guys updated on that one. From there, if you can set an appointment, we'll go through what it looks like to close a deal with the seller at a later video. But the biggest thing is do the work. And if you guys are calling in Oklahoma City, or you're in Oklahoma City, and you guys set an appointment, I am willing to go out and close the deal, figure out a payment or what that looks like from my investment company, of you guys wholesaling the deal to me. So hope that adds value. If you guys drop me a comment, a like, subscribe, and then shoot me a DM on Instagram, I will send y'all my full script, and then common objections that I run into, and like what to say. What to say when you call somebody and you say, "Hey, are you interested in an offer?" And they say, "Okay, what's your offer?" You know, and so just different stuff like that. I've got a PDF. I'll send it over to you guys. Not asking for any emails or anything. Just wanna boost the socials a little bit. Hope that adds value. I'll catch you guys on the next.